bit different. I was recently going through my makeup collection and I realized I don't really use my palettes that often. I decided to go out of my comfort zone a little bit and do a cool tone smoky eye. I have never used my Balm Voyage palette, so I decided that I was gonna go ahead and use it, and I really love it. I'll probably do another tutorial with the eyeshadow color that I use, only because I love the color that much, and I want to use it without any dark colors around it, just so you can see how beautiful the color it is on its own. In this video, not only will you see a cool tone smoky eye, but I'm going to take you through my full coverage highlighting and contour routine. So I bake and everything. I take you through all the steps, and no, I did not use my NYX HD concealers. Go ahead, give me a round of applause. I tried. Oh, and PSA, please ignore my nails. It was either film a video or redo my nails. So nap time was approaching and clearly I didn't get to these. So yeah, just excuse those. But without further ado, I'm gonna stop rambling and let's get into the tutorial. I'm applying MAC's 24-hour extended eye base all over my lid and even into my eyebrows to act as my base. The first shade I'm using is from the Anastasia Artist Palette, and it's Dusty Rose. It's a really nice dusty rose shade. It's exactly as it says. And I'm using that all over my upper crease and bluffing that out with a blending brush. Next, from the Artist Palette, I'm going to be mixing the shades Aubergine and Baby I'm a Star. And I'm going to be packing that on the outer and inner corners and tracing it along my crease. I'm basically using the sandwich method. You could use a typical cat eye method, but I really like the sandwich method for this look because I really want that shimmery shade to be the focal point of my eyeshadow look. So I'm really just packing it on the inner and outer corners and blending the two and connecting them in the crease. You can make this as dark or as light as you wanted. I know that I wanted a pretty intense smoky eye, so I'm really going to pack these two on to make sure that the color is really saturated. Once that's done, I'm going to take a brush similar to MAC's 217 blending brush, and I'm going to make sure that all the edges are nice and in the Balm Voyage palette, I'm taking the shade C4, which is a gorgeous burgundy brown shade with like a teal metallic shift. I'm applying that right on top of the Aubergine and Baby I'm a Star mix on the inner and outer corners. And those two shades are really just going to give me a dark base to lay my shadow on top of. After blending those edges again, I'm going back into the Balm Voyage palette and using the shade A1. I'm sorry you can't really see it, but I'm going to wet my brush with Fix Plus and place that on the very center of my lid. Wetting the brush gives me almost a pigment-like effect with the shadow. So once I've applied it, I'm going to use my fingers to blend out the edges, and I'm going back in the shade C4 and packing more on the inner and outer corner just to make sure that it's still saturated and that the color shows through. I'm using a makeup wipe to clean up any fallout, and today for primer I'm using Maybelline's Baby Skin. At first I didn't like it, but it's honestly starting to grow on me, so I'm just applying that all over my face and concentrating it on the areas where my pores are a little bit larger. Today for foundation, I'm trying out the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation. I have heard nothing but good things about it, and I use the shade Soft Sable. It looks like it matches my neck, which is good, but it's the summer right now, so I'm a little bit tanner. So I am going to end up adding a different foundation to it just to give me a little bit more warmth to my skin. I have very neutral undertones, and this foundation is very yellow based, which is great because there aren't many yellow based foundations at the drugstore, but during the summer it doesn't exactly match me. So I'm using this Covergirl Queen foundation, another matte foundation that I love from the drugstore, and I'm just adding that on the areas where I need a little bit more coverage and to just overall blend the colors together. For concealer, I'm using the LA Girl HD Pro Conceal in the shade Cool Tan, and on top of that I'm going to be using a little bit of my Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Biscuit, and I'm using a fluffy blending brush just to blend that out. I use the blending brush on the areas that I want to have the most coverage, and then I use my beauty blender to blend out the edges. contour, I'm using the LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Mahogany, and this is their newest, deepest shade. I know it looks pretty intense right now, but stay with me. I promise you I'm going to blend it all out. But I'm using my dome-shaped kabuki brush just to blend out that concealer with the rest of my face, and I make sure to apply it on my jawline to not only blend my foundation, but to give me a more slimming effect. And to make sure that everything looks smooth and together, I'm going over my whole entire face, blending out those edges with my beauty blender. To set my highlighted areas, I'm using a mix of Nye Banana Powder and my black Opal Neutral Light Setting Powder. And I'm just using a beauty sponge to apply that in all the areas that I highlighted, skipping my nose because for whatever reason my nose is really dry and flaky and it doesn't look good when there's a lot of powder on it. So yeah. But I'm cleaning up my contour and just placing that right under to sharpen it up. To highlight my brow bone, I'm going back into the Anastasia Artist Palette and I'm using the shade Buttery on a dual fiber blending brush. It gave me like a light application, but enough to where it blended everything out beautifully and you could still get a hint of shimmer underneath my brow bone. And I'm going back into the shade Dusty Rose to make sure that everything is smooth. While my face is baking, I'm going to go ahead and finish my eyes. I'm using this purple Urban Decay liner. I'll list it in the description box as usual. But on a pencil brush, I'm taking both the shades C4 and A1 from the Balm Voyage palette. And I'm using the same sandwich method on my lower lash line. So I'm applying the C4 shades on the inner and outer corners, connecting it to the top lash line. And then I'm taking the shade A1, again, wetting my brush with Fix Plus, and placing that in the dead center. I'm dusting off the excess powder because we don't want that on our face. And I'm going to blend everything out with my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Deep Dark. This is going to make sure that the highlighted areas aren't too light and the contoured areas aren't too dark. And as always, I'm going over my contour with a bronzer. I'm using the e.l.f. Bronzing Duo. Again, it'll be listed in the description box. But you guys have seen me do this 1,000,001 times before. For blush, I'm using Colourpop Swift Blush. This has been a new favorite of mine. It is so gorgeous. If you don't have any of their products, you need to jump on the bandwagon and go get you some. I'm applying Koko Lashes Goddess today, and I decided to use one of my new pairs of lower lashes. This is my first time applying them, so I didn't do it on camera. For a highlight, I'm using this NYX pigment in the shade Nude. Oh, and those lower lashes are in the style 302, I believe, from Koko Lashes as well. But I'm applying this with my Real Technique setting brush. For my lips, I'm using a mix of chestnut lip liner and filling it in with Stone lip liner from MAC. And I'm going on top of that with Colourpop's Tootsie Lippie Stix. This gave me a beautiful, like, taupey brown pink shade. Gorgeous, honey. I didn't show it, but of course, I set my face with Fix Plus. As always, you want to seal that makeup. And that is it for this look. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please thumbs it up and subscribe if you haven't already. I love you so much, and I'll see you in my next video.